Welcome back. A new survey being unveiled right now is set to create some buzz at UW-Madison this week. The Tommy G. Thompson Center on Public Leadership is out with its findings on a new report on academic freedom, free expression, and campus inclusion at UW-Madison. The study found campus faculty say they're overwhelmingly more liberal than conservative, and conservative faculty report feeling less welcome on campus than their liberal colleagues. Alex Tak is the director of the Tommy G. Thompson Center. He joins us now to unveil the findings. Alex, welcome to the show. It's really good to see you.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Before we get into these numbers, I'm curious, first broadly, why did you want to ask these questions to UW faculty, Madison faculty?
Well, I think these are questions that really have been of interest to us and to a lot of people. There's been a lot of discussion around these topics, but a lot of sort of claims about what people think and not a lot of data on it. So we wanted to get good data on it.
Some data behind it. You sent this survey, you said, to about 2,400 faculty, 633 responded. First, should people trust that these numbers are accurate given the response rate?
Yeah, I think that's actually a fairly good response rate. When we fielded this, we were told to expect maybe 15%, and so 27% is, I think, about as good as you can get in this current environment.
Let's dive into some of this. Of the faculty that you surveyed, 70% said they identify as liberal, 9% say conservative. What should we take away from these findings as you've looked into the numbers?
Well, I think probably not a lot of people are going to be surprised that UW-Madison faculty lean to the left. I think having a better idea of exactly what percent lean to the right, and within that, I think only about 3% identified as conservative or very conservative. Most of the conservative ones identify as slightly conservative. But I think a lot of what we wanted to do in the survey is really just go beyond that, quantify how far faculty lean to the left, but go beyond just the question of their leanings and see how it affects other things.
In this, did anything surprise you in the findings?
Yeah, I think there's two things that surprised me. Probably the first one, and maybe the biggest, is that faculty of color were actually slightly more conservative than white faculty. I think most people probably would have expected the opposite. Certainly I did. But that's not what it looks like.
You also asked about the political climate on campus. Liberal faculty overwhelmingly told you they believe those with progressive views would be welcome on campus. They did acknowledge that conservatives may feel less welcome, and about 81% of conservative faculty said someone with conservative views wouldn't be welcome.
That's right.
Walk me through that.
Yeah, so I think you could see there that there's a gap amongst liberal faculty, that liberal faculty acknowledge that conservatives would feel a little less welcome. But when you ask conservatives, they think the gap is much larger. Everybody sort of agrees on how welcome progressives would feel on campus, but conservatives feel it's a much less welcome environment for conservatives.
Have you showed this to UW System or UW-Madison leaders yet?
I haven't showed it to system leaders. I've shared it with a few colleagues for feedback. But
what do you anticipate their reaction will be to this?
I don't know, and I expect there will be variation within them. I don't think everybody in administration will have the same view. I think there's variation in how they view this situation already, and I expect that will show up in how they respond to it.
To those who will read this and say, oh, this is the Tommy G. Thompson Center, it's a right-leaning organization, of course this is what the Tommy G. Thompson Center is going to find in its research. You're going to tell them what to those critics?
Well, I think the first thing is I think we're not really a right-leaning organization. We're a UW-Madison campus center. We are nonpartisan. I am a professor of political science at UW-Madison, and we really strive not to have that be the case. We worked with the UW-Madison Survey Center in constructing this and carrying this out. They were very helpful. And so I hope they will actually look at the survey, see the questions, and see the analysis rather than jumping to a conclusion before that.
Fascinating numbers that I'm sure a lot of people will be talking about this week. Alex Tak, the director of the Tommy G. Thompson Center. Alex, thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
More from the survey. Read the results right now on the 12 News app. We'll be right back.